Snow drifted through the quiet little town in slow, swirling sheets, the kind of snowfall that softened every sound until the world felt wrapped in cotton. The wind pushed the flakes in gentle waves that twisted through the narrow streets, collecting on rooftops, blanketing porches, and settling into every crack in the frozen pavement. Evening had crept in unnoticed, leaving the sky a muted gray blue that blended seamlessly with the white haze below. The door of O'Neill's general store suddenly swung open, breaking the stillness. A warm, golden strip of light spilled onto the icy ground, momentarily chasing away the cold's grip on the doorway. Through it stepped a small girl, thin, pale, and no older than 9, struggling to keep her balance as she maneuvered herself outside. She clutched a brown paper bag to her chest as though it held the last precious things she possessed. Her weight rested awkwardly on a single wooden crutch. The crutch was old and too big for her, its underarm pad worn and splintered from long use. Her exposed hands trembled as she tightened her grip around it. A rough cloth bandage wrapped around her shin peeked through a tear in her jeans, and every time she shifted her weight, a sharp, painful jolt crossed her face. She tried to hide it, pressing her lips together, but her eyes, red from cold and exhaustion, betrayed her struggle. Walking tightly at her side was a German shepherd, tall and loyal, yet clearly injured. His front leg was wrapped in a blood-stained bandage, and he carried it slightly off the ground as he moved. Despite his pain, the dog stayed pressed against the girl's hip as if she were the only thing in the world that mattered. His duty to protect her seemed to outweigh everything. His own injury, the violent sting of the wind, even the cold draining through his thick coat. They made an odd pair moving across the empty parking lot. A limping child and a limping dog, each leaning on the other in their own quiet way. Snowflakes clung to the shepherd's fur, settling on his back in small white clusters. His breath puffed into the air in short, fog-like bursts. Even weakened, his eyes remained alert, scanning the surroundings, ready to defend the girl at a moment's notice. She looked too small and far too frightened to be outside in weather like this, and he seemed to know it. Nothing about the scene felt ordinary, and maybe that was why, just as 3 bikers thundered into the parking lot on heavy motorcycles, all 3 men fell silent the moment they noticed the pair. The engines died almost simultaneously, leaving only the soft hiss of falling snow. The leader of the group, a tall, broad man with tired eyes and a face lined by years of hard living, froze mid-step as he watched the girl stumble forward. Something in her fragile, shaking form made him stop. Confusion flickered across his face, quickly replaced by a tightening concern. Before he realized it, his boots were already crunching through the snow toward her. Startled by the large figure approaching, the girl panicked and tried to quicken her pace, but her injured leg folded beneath her. The paper bag slipped from her arms, groceries spilling across the snowy ground. An apple rolling toward the curb, a box of bandages landing upside down, a conclattering to a stop near the biker's boot. Her dog instantly pushed his body against her side, bracing himself under her arm. The movement clearly caused him pain, but he didn't hesitate for a single second. The biker immediately slowed, raising both hands in a gentle gesture. He approached her the way someone might approach a frightened deer, carefully, quietly, offering no threat. "It's all right," he said, lowering his voice so it was steady and non-threatening. "I'm not going to hurt you. You just look like you could use a little help." The girl clutched her crutch so tightly her knuckles went white. Her voice trembled as she whispered, "We're okay. I just need to get Max home. He's hurt." She glanced down at the shepherd, Max, who lifted his head at the sound of his name. Even in pain, he tried to appear strong for her, standing as tall as his injured leg allowed. Another biker crouched a few feet away, careful not to frighten her, and asked softly, "Kid, what happened to you too?" For a moment, she said nothing. Her lower lip quivered. Snow fell quietly around them, coating her shoulders, her tangled hair, Max's ears. Then she whispered, almost too softly to hear, "It was my father." The temperature seemed to drop even lower. The leader's jaw tightened. Little by little, in thin, broken sentences, She explained that her father came home angry most nights. Drunk, violent, unpredictable. Max had been attacked the night before when he tried to protect her. Her father had swung a shovel at him, and when she tried to pull Max away, he struck her too. She waited until he finally passed out, then climbed out a shattered window and used the last of her saved coins to buy bandages from the store. The bikers exchanged heavy looks, anger simmering beneath their calm appearances. The leader knelt beside Max and let the dog sniff his hand. Max didn't growl. Not because he trusted them, but because he was simply exhausted, leaning instinctively toward the girl as if she were his only anchor. The girl eventually whispered her name, Amelia. The leader introduced himself and explained that they belonged to a motorcycle club called the Iron Guardians, a group known in the region for protecting people who had nowhere else to turn. "You're safe with us, Amelia," he said gently but firmly. "You don't have to walk through this storm alone." She stared at him with disbelief, tears gathering in her eyes. "No one's ever cared enough to help," she murmured. The man shook his head. "Someone should have. And we're not turning away now." He picked up her scattered groceries, handed her the bag, and then lifted Max carefully in his arms. Amelia gasped, terrified he might hurt her dog, but the biker adjusted his grip with surprising gentleness. "This boy needs real medical care," he said softly. "And you need warmth, food, and rest. We're taking both of you with us." They seated Amelia on one of the motorcycles, wrapped her in a thick leather jacket, and settled Max across the leader's lap. The ride was slow, cautious, ensuring neither child nor dog was jostled or frightened. At the clubhouse, warmth enveloped her immediately. The men guided her inside, sat her near a heater, ladled hot soup into a bowl, and prepared a first aid kit. When they unwound Max's bandage, even the tough, battle-scarred bikers flinched at the depth of his wound. "We're taking him to a vet," the leader announced. "And you're not paying a dime." Amelia's voice cracked as she asked why they were doing all this for someone they had never met. The leader paused, met her eyes, and answered with quiet honesty. "Because when I was your age, someone saved me from a place just as bad. I promised myself I'd do the same someday." At the clinic, Max endured the treatment bravely. Amelia held his face between her small hands, whispering that he couldn't leave her. He was all she had. The vet reassured her that Max was strong, courageous, and would survive with proper care. Hours later, warm and safe, the bikers filed a police report ensuring her father would never come near her again. When Amelia, trembling, asked, "What will happen to me now?" the leader knelt beside her, placed a gentle hand on her shoulder and said, "You'll stay with us, not as a burden, as family." She burst into tears of relief, burying her face in Max's fur while the bikers watched with quiet, proud smiles. For the first time in her life, Amelia stepped into a home where fear could not reach her. A home where she and her loyal dog were finally safe, wanted, and loved.